All right, so we've already talked about where complex numbers come from. Again, the letter I, or imaginary numbers, come from when I take the square root of a negative number. We know that's not possible because anything squared is always positive. So when we take the square root of a negative, it doesn't exist in a real number system. So therefore, what happens is we pull the negative out, and that's where the I comes from. So these are going to be operations, or just simplifying complex numbers. So if you have a situation, again, this would only be in theoretical imaginary situations, that you would ever have to combine like terms with I involved, here's how you do it. So very similar to what we've already experienced with just regular variables. So I have an invisible 1 in front of that, 1i on number 1. So 1i plus 6i is 7i. Okay, that's not that hard. Here's something with number 2. So 3 and 4 are like terms, so 3 plus 4 is 7. And then we write 7 plus 6i. With imaginary numbers, they actually, like, if we think about like a quadratic, for example. Let me go ahead and write one here on the screen. If I had like x squared plus 3x minus 5, x squared always comes first because it's the variable at the highest exponent. Then x, because it's x to the first power, and then the number. But imaginary numbers are even behind the real numbers. So imaginary numbers in the pecking order in the hierarchy of math go towards the back. So the numbers in this case come first, then the imaginary numbers. So it's not 6i plus 7. It's actually going to be 7 plus 6i. The imaginary numbers go in the back. So number 3, let's continue on here. Invisible 1 in front of the I. So that's going to be 4i. Not that bad. Here, double negative. So let's just make it plus a negative 7. That's going to give me negative 15i. So number 5 is a good example of what we just talked about. So I have, let's start with my real numbers, which are negative 1 and negative 4. They're like terms, same sign, add and keep, so I'm going to get negative 5. Then we do the imaginary, so negative 8 minus I will give me negative 9i. And again on number 6, let's do what the real numbers first. So 7 plus 4 plus 4, which will give me 15, and then plus I is the only thing left. So the couple things just to be aware of is they combine just like variables do, as you would expect. The only tricky things are that the numbers come before the imaginary numbers. So real numbers come before imaginary numbers in that order. And so just be sure to add the real numbers first, then the imaginary. So there are some basics for adding or combining like terms with complex numbers.